Hey everyone, me Kevin here. So I've got good news and bad news. The good news is I'm back. Hopefully that's good news for you. The bad news is my $10,000 Mac Pro will not start again. So I just got back from vacation, and I've been trying for about the last 30 minutes to turn it on, and there is no way I can flip to getting anything working right now. So we are back to using the stupid webcam. This is very embarrassing, I think, for Apple, but it's also very embarrassing for me. I literally just had it at Apple last week, and they reinstalled everything and said it was fine. It is a complete lemon. It says it's on, there's no picture. After 10 minutes, the picture shows up, and it's just like a torn green screen. It's a cluster F. So anyway, we are back to this. We also have other news, and that is that my hair and the red is fading. That is probably in part due to ocean water, since I was gone yesterday and the weekend, which apparently there was a nice dip yesterday. Uh, I was not in a place where the stock market was very much of a priority. But what is very cool is there are a lot of things that sort of came out over the weekend in terms of just sort of people's expectations, fears in the market, and really just dip opportunities. And some of the things that I've really been looking at, rather than even just the news events, are how some stocks are actually very nicely off of their all-time highs. Now, I don't always like measuring off of all-time highs, because I do think measuring off all-time highs can sometimes be dangerous, because it means you're potentially, hold on, I'm going to try to restart it one more time. Sometimes it means you're really pricing off of potentially elevated prices that came out of momentum plays, right? So, for example, do I think Robinhood is worth 20? No, I think it's worth a lot more. Do I think Robinhood is worth 70 like it was? No. That momentum ran, which was pretty ridiculous, about a week after the IPO. Let's see if I can turn this stupid thing on again. But anyway, I actually can't. Now it's not even turning on. Okay, whatever. Just so ridiculous. So you got to be a little careful with that. But the good news is I made this little spreadsheet, which I think is really cool, and I want to share it with you. I'll post this later in the course member chat. But let's see. I call it the Big Losers Spreadsheet. And take a look at this. This shows you the 52-week high, and then this is percent of 52-week high. I just spent like an hour working on some trades and some more things related to this. And I don't want to buy everything that's here, because there's always this potential of buying into value traps. So you do have to be careful about when you're buying companies that are in a downtrend, right? But take a look at some of the things that we have here. Now, keep in mind, some of these prices have gone up again a little bit this morning because the market's moving up a little bit. I usually don't like buying on green. Oh, and just for giggles, there's what I see on my computer. Stupid freaking thing. $10,000 Mac Pro, and this is what you have to deal with. Anyway, so you don't necessarily always want to buy companies that are falling or substantially off their all-time high, because sometimes they get sort of adjusted, right? You're just at a new valuation. So I mean, look at this. Lemonade is at 23% of its all-time high, but keep in mind 188 was after a crazy momentum pump, so you want to be a little careful with that. Ones that I particularly have been enjoying are some of my favorites that are actually at lower prices now. So, for example, Enphase, Etsy, Nvidia, Affirm, and I know some of these are up a little bit in pre-market, but it's really negligible compared to some of the discounts that we've had here. So Nvidia is probably maybe 10% off of its all-time high. So not like a super big discount here, but Enphase and Etsy, they're at least 20% off. I like that. I'd rather buy that. Affirm's over 30%. Off of its all-time high. Square and PayPal, these guys are over 30% off of some of their all-time highs. So while I'm not I don't want to be in the position where I'm like, I'm all in, still preserving some cash. There are some neat opportunities to be able to pick up some cash in, or some opportunities in. For example, Roku is another one that's I've been kind of looking at, but I also want to be careful that some plays are sort of deemed to be recovery plays. I'm sorry, not recovery plays, COVID stay at home plays. And the more COVID sort of gets ingrained into our lives as like this is just going to be part of our lives, the less I think the markets are super interested in stay-at-home plays, and slowly you get traders kind of leaking out of these plays. It's one of the reasons, for example, I'm more bullish, for example, on like Google or Trade Desk as advertising plays than I am on a Roku. And the reason is I think there's still a lot of trade money that's in something like Roku that says, hey, well, this is where we park money when we think COVID's getting bad, right? Okay, let's see if I could just do this stupid recovery, or just if I hit restart, it should work, right? I don't know why. Restart. We'll wait 30 minutes and we'll see what happens with that stupid thing. But anyway, so hopefully that makes sense. Another thing, though, that I've been keeping an eye on has been that companies like, well, by the way, SoFi fell straight to its like 1470 support line. It's a little higher than that now. I think it's a couple bucks more right now. But other ones that I'm watching that I just really haven't opened up the door yet to myself are the gambling plays. Though I do think that Penn National Gaming and DraftKings have some really strong potential in the longer term, but they've definitely come off some crazy momentum. So anyway, so these are some of the things that I'm looking at. Let me stop sharing this one. Let's go on over to Webull, and let's see what we have going on here. Somebody says, I don't have any airlines. Yeah, airlines are something I'm not very interested in. It's a hyper competitive market. Something that I actually really liked, especially last week, was Carnival Cruise Lines, because they fell to like $17.90 or something. I do think they came back. I think they're at like $19 right now. Let's see here. Okay, let's get this to properly load. Is CrowdStrike actually up 38% pre-market, or is that a bug? Because let's see here. We'll go ahead and pull up term. Yeah, we'll see. We've got a bunch of things to look at. Okay, well, while I pull this up, I also want to quickly just talk about yields. I have noticed that there are a few things that are worth noting right now. The first thing that we got to remember is that this Friday we have a CPI data release, and that's in 3-4 days here. Darn it, I can't. That without this computer, it's a little annoying. Okay, I'll get to the bottom of this. So there we go. Okay, what am I trying to say? CPI data release. Bloomberg is expecting the CPI data release to be pretty disgusting later this week. They expect it to come in at about 6.8% for an annualized inflation rate, which, if you think about it, is extremely high. So that's going to lead to some drama in markets. It's going to lead to a lot of potential disappointment in markets as well. But that is, of course, unless markets believe, which I do think at some point they will, that inflation has started peaking. Now, remember that I was always of the mindset that inflation would peak in September and October. And that was obviously wrong. The peak didn't come in September and October, but it's quite possible that peak ends up coming somewhere in January, maybe even, who knows, maybe will December be the peak, who knows, the December release for November. It's possible. And if that ends up being the case, then ultimately I think the market's going to be a little bit more interested in plays that I think will do very well in times when inflation is falling. I personally believe that times when or places where inflation could be falling are companies with high margin. And so these are always going to be companies that I'm looking for. And let's see here. Cybersecurity companies have generally nice margins, but a lot of them are still losing money or barely profitable. They just have large gross margins, and their advertising holds them back for now. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, okay, net was a bug. that doesn't surprise me. Oh wow, EXPI kind of moved a lot more than I thought it would this morning. But anyway, so you've got some really interesting opportunities that are left over. You do have some catalysts of pain still ahead of us, but let me look at yields. Okay. All right, here we go. So right now we have bond yields, the 10-year bond yield at 146. So it's up a good chunk. That's interesting. The 10-year moved up. Let me see quickly the 2-year. 2-year treasury. Let's talk about bonds quickly. Okay, so the 2-year over the last 5 days has been trending up. That's because we expect interest rates to move up at the Fed. But the 10-year has also moved up. And the 10-year had been falling. Last week, it did fall to quite a low, somewhere around the 134, 135 range. It's sitting at about 1.46 now, which isn't really the market pricing in high inflation anymore. It's more, but it's also certainly not pricing in what we had last week, which was fear. So probably more at a more longer-term normal level here. Let me zoom out quickly here. Year to date. Yeah. Here, hold on a sec. What am I going to do? It's not worth bringing it over. I was going to bring the chart over and just mention that that could potentially be a median where we end up sitting somewhere between that 1.4 and 1.5 level, which I don't think is going to create any particular inflation fears. You want to watch the 10-year because in part, when especially the spread between the 10-year and tips, for example, but that's not so important to talk about right now. But the 10-year, when the 10-year was running to like 1.7, 1.8, folks were getting very, very nervous about inflation. And even though Bloomberg's expecting a 6.8% inflation read for year-over-year inflation this Friday, the Treasury market's barely pricing in longer-term inflation fears. The 2 years show it a lot more because rates are going to be going up, but otherwise, it's not a bad place. So, okay, let's look again here at some individual plays. I got terminal up as well, and let's see what we have. So, first, we've got a rebound on NEO. It looks like yesterday, and I wasn't here yesterday, or really doing anything yesterday. Looks like the market really had some pain yesterday. Look at that. You had Trade Desk under 90 briefly. Even under 95, not bad. Cloudflare at 155, not bad. Affirm 116, 117, not bad. These are much discounted prices from where we had been. Matterport sitting at about 25.72. Cool. And not much red either. Looks like you've got maybe Shift Technologies, Owlet here, Merck. You got a few things that are a little red. Crypto, I saw crypto had an incredible fall on high liquidations to somewhere around a low of 43 there for a moment. Let's take a look at this. I've not looked at my Webull at all. Oh wow, look at that. So what's really interesting here is you had this incredible. See, that's liquidation pain right here. This is not trading pain when you fall like this, because first of all, it's within a 30-minute candlestick. But whoa, folks, how wild is this? I had these lines drawn for months, and look how we literally fell to this support line and kind of bounced off it again over here. That's wild. You go back to my prior videos, you'll see that those lines are there. You know, people make fun of technical analysis, but that is crystal clear. That worked really well over the drama of the weekend. That is incredible. So we should slowly start making our way back to 54K. But wow, what a check right there. Liquidation pain and then playing that support and resistance line. That's incredible. Okay, so we got to get the bell. I don't think there's going to be a very convenient way for me to show the bell, but you'll be able to hear the bell slightly. How about that? And let's watch the SPY maybe.
When you listen to him, I think you want to say, you know what? I'm going to give my money to gold because it's too hard to navigate. Self-serving, I don't know. Having done that at Goldman, I would tell you that's kind of the rap. So I found it consistent with what Goldman's been saying for a long time. Not inconsistent, but consistent.
Yeah. Work from home. Okay, so a big thing that I want to watch here is I want to see if people are coming in to buy the dip that we have in a lot of different stocks. Because, I mean, look at this, folks. Upstart. Look at Upstart. Look at that. This used to be a trade stock. This thing has fallen substantially from its all-time highs. I mean, 186. And I'm going to be writing down some trade ideas because I do think there's going to be some rebound trades to play. Okay, let's write that down. So let's see. I'm gonna watch Upstart. So I'm gonna write that down. Watch. I'm gonna write down Upstart. Okay, good. We're just gonna keep an eye on that. Not necessarily. I really want to see how the market moves this morning because I don't know if it's for sure going to go straight up or if it's going to go down. So you can see a little bit of that vacillation here on the SPY, but it does seem to be going net up. We do have Tesla. Tesla's actually rotating down. I think Tesla was under 1,000, wasn't it, while I was gone? I think I heard yesterday morning was that. Oh, look at that! It fell to 950 yesterday. Oh, well, wish I was there for that. But you know, I can't undo your vacation because the market's crashing. But golly, what a brief dip. Yeah, HUD 8 mining coming back. That makes sense because Bitcoin prices are obviously up. Cloudflare is very interesting. Look at that. Cloudflare, 156, folks. Here's a stock that had fallen dramatically recently, but it did run up wildly. But I mean, look at that difference here. You know, where would you rather be buying? And Cloudflare is literally one that I've been watching probably since around here. So I didn't get like that 130s, 140s pricing, but pretty close here. So very cool. Let's see here. Then we've got Neo. Neo's coming back. Let's look at the minute chart just to see how things are moving here. Neo actually rotating down slightly. Okay. Let's see here. Let's do another one here. Salesforce. Salesforce still doing pretty well there. Okay. Yep, they're recovering nicely. Okay, Qualcomm. What do we got here? Qualcomm's recovering. Cloudflare's now. Oh, look at that push on Cloudflare. That's incredible. Really nice recovery. Okay, so far it seems like the market is really trying to push to buy this dip. Matterport's at a lower price as well from where we were. Yep, Matterport is doing a very nice run as well. Good. Let's see here. How about Etsy? We haven't seen Etsy in a bit. Etsy. Okay. So Etsy 136 also moving very nicely. You had a lot of sort of pre-market buys here. I personally don't like buying things in the pre-market. But then again, if you're putting in smaller orders, it potentially does not matter as much. So then we have, let's see, how about Square? Square and PayPal are other ones that have really moved. Okay, Square sitting at 188. Okay, let's see here. What else? Tesla looks like, Tesla's kind of recovering there a little bit. Okay, that makes sense. S&P, really good rally. I mean, strong move back here, and you're seeing actually a lot of that move back at open, not necessarily at in the pre-market. A substantial sort of additional push here right in the open. Apple, even look at that, almost 170. Apple never really gave us a dip though, huh? Apple's been pretty stable. Even MQ coming back substantially here. That's another one I want to take a little closer look at. In addition to TDoc, let's see here. Let's look at TDoc quickly. So TDoc back over 100. Let's go to the hour chart here. So let's go actually day chart. We're gonna actually get it here. There we go. Weekday average candles. Okay, there we go. Yeah, look at TDoc, folks. Holy moly. This is very similar though to what we were talking about at the beginning of the live about potentially folks still wanting to cycle out of stay-at-home plays. But then again, folks, look at that 100. You were under 100, or you were at about 110 before the pandemic. The 90s to 100. That's another incredible one. So I'm going to write down TDOC. Let's see here. Tesla softening again a little bit. I think there's just a lot of volume here at the beginning of the day, as a lot of folks potentially come look to buy the dip again. Yeah, look at this. A little bit of a drawdown again here on Matterport. Etsy still holding. TDOC under 100. Square's moving nicely. Okay. Affirm 117. See, look at this is interesting. A little. My guess is there was potentially a good chunk of market buying at open, and there could be some softness after that. Gives folks another opportunity to take some profits who haven't yet. Google 1.8. LCID. Lucid heading down right now. Lucid had an interesting reveal that they're getting subpoenaed by the SEC. I read about that yesterday on my way back. I usually am not so terribly worried as an investor myself. And look, I've been expecting Lucid to fall, so it's not a surprise to me that it's falling. But this is one where I probably would not put too much weight on an SEC report or an SEC subpoena. And the rationale for that is the company has been, every SPAC has done some, there we go. Every SPAC has done a substantial amount of projecting. And these projections are something that I don't really believe anyway, but they are listed as pro forma projections. So what the SEC is probably doing is they're investigating the basis that like Peter Rawlinson or whatever might give for providing projections. And I expect the SEC will do that out of a lot of SPACs, not to potentially punish the SPACs, but to change the rules going forward, because the pro forma projections are absolutely ridiculous. So it doesn't surprise me that the SEC is subpoenaing a lot of, it's not just Lucid, it's a lot of the different SPACs. So let's see here. Okay, good. So volatility back down to about 24. So long story short, I'm not so worried about when I hear about an SEC subpoena on SPAC stuff. But then again, I'm also not in Lucid, and I wouldn't mind to, at this point, and I wouldn't mind to continue waiting for a little bit of a dip. I think when would I really get excited about Lucid again was probably with like a 3 in the front. I'm willing to be patient on that. I do think there's such great opportunities right now to be looking in the market. I personally think that Square is a great price right now, under 200. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to buy it as it's jumping like this, but sometimes, here's the thing. Sometimes we look at the chart, and this is something that's always difficult to remember too, is sometimes we look at the chart and we're like, oh, we don't want to buy green. We don't want to buy while things are rotating up like this. But folks, you also have to zoom out to the day chart too sometimes and look at the relative movement of a particular stock. So I think that's worth it. A lot of compression at PayPal, at Square. Hopefully this is the end. I mean, look at the amount of new volume that we have over here. Pretty wild. But a lot of compression has come to these. So let's see what else we have here. Etsy's come down substantially, which is great. A lot of folks were asking me, hey, Kevin, should we buy? Should we buy? Well, it's going to the moon. And I've maintained that my belief is that Etsy's great around 225. A little bit more, a little bit less. What doesn't matter so much? 237, big deal. It's so much closer. End phase, I personally prefer it a little closer to 200. But we've come down substantially from those highs. Excellent play. And I also think this is a potentially good play in the event that we start seeing inflationary numbers start inflecting down. Robinhood, I think once the lockups are completely finished, which they opened up on the 3rd, I think it was Friday the 3rd, or no, was it the 2nd or the 3rd? I don't know. It's one of the days last week, and some folks could either choose to panic sell, or they could have the shares transferred to their brokerage and then they could panic sell. So I do think there's still going to be some potential resistance for Robinhood until that's done. Look at Visa's U-turn. Here's another one to really watch. Visa and Carnival Cruise Lines last week were plays that I was looking at swing trading and briefly traded. Visa is an extremely profitable company with excellent growth margins. And this is one that if you're looking at fintech like Square and PayPal, don't count Visa out. Visa is another really good opportunity. And look at their growth, their PE ratio. We know they're not going anywhere. And so what you're paying here, let me do it really quick for you. Visa. Okay. But Visa's one I really like. I've considered actually creating a long-term position in Visa, but I haven't yet. Okay, so 2022, they're expecting $7 to go to the bottom line. $202 divided by 7. It's about a 28 PE for 2022. You're expecting growth around 14 to 17%. And $11.77 of earnings in 2025 divided by where we sit now puts you at about 17 times for 2025 for 14 to 17 times growth. That's not bad. Your PEG ratio is almost at 1. But again, I haven't made a move on this one yet. Another one that I really have been trying to understand more, and I've been reading a lot about and researching a lot about, is actually Corsair. Now, the problem with them is they have substantially lower growth than Visa. Their growth comes in much lumpier patterns. But if you look at their 2025 EPS is expected to be $2.87. Divide them by where I believe they sit now. So let me see here quickly. Corsair. Right now they say, okay, we'll call it $22. So that would be 22 divided by 2.87. That's about a 7.66 forward PE. That's PEG ratio is easily under 1, if not more. Somebody just paid $10 to ask me what's the actual date Lucid's supposed to deliver 1,000 cars. I think that's the wrong question to ask because it's so far out. I think the best measure will be their nearer term deliveries, and that's an expectation of 25,000 vehicles for 2022, and I believe 520 vehicles for this year. I expect them to miss both of those. And so that makes me a little bit more nervous. So I would anticipate that 100,000 cars rather would be somewhere realistically late 23, maybe early 24, something like that. It's probably a 2024 projection, honestly. But anyway, so Corsair and Visa, both sitting with a PEG around 1. Not terrible, not terrible. Yeah, that's very, very good, and I think they are good companies. But I haven't been as convinced as some of my other plays. Of course, you all know a lot of you know my ultimate favorites. So let's see here. How are other things moving? So it looks like the stock market, I mean, just judging by the spark lines, looks like if anything we're slightly sideways. Let's go to SPY here. Just see how the indices are performing. So look at this, folks. This is also another really good measure just to keep an eye on, that when the market dips, you tend to get this deviation from our trend line over here. And then we very frequently get an S&P return to trend. So watch this. I love buying in the dip when I can. Friday, Friday was a very interesting day. There were some stocks that I had to sell because of an obligation with JP Morgan. Fortunately, today I was able to buy a lot of those back for actually less than what I had to sell some of them for on Friday. So it worked out. But Friday, it really looked like Monday was a day to buy. I was, of course, on a rare vacation. But there are still, I think it's important to remember that just because the next day is green means two things. A, it doesn't mean that things are going to stay green. But B, it doesn't necessarily mean you have a bad deal. So I'm watching, for example, Square, T-Doc we've talked about. Look at this, under 100. I wrote that down. I wrote down Upstart, T-Doc, Visa, and Corsair. These are the ones that I really want to watch for potential trades. Let's see here. Tesla's holding on to 3%. Upstart, it's kind of volatile, though, here. No clear run. 118, 223. A lot of euphoria right there at the open. And it really stayed. That euphoria really stayed for a good 6 minutes. Then you've got Roblox. How low did Roblox go yesterday? Did it go under 100? Let's see. No, yesterday hit a low of 104, but quickly looks like it rebounded to 110. EXPI sitting at 37 again. Here, this is another one I wanted to watch. So here's a company. I'll grab financials on this one. Here's a company that does credit cards for other companies. So it's kind of think about it like you want to have your own credit card for your own company or whatever. And MQ is a company that can make that happen for you. And then what they do is they split the processing transaction fees with the person they've partnered with. So, for example, I don't believe that BlockFi uses them, but just as an example, let's say you're BlockFi and you're like, hey, we want to create a credit card. And you go to MQ, I think Firm does. Yeah, Firm does. You go to MQ and you're like, hey, we want to make a credit card with you. Processing fees are, say, 3%. How about we each take 1.5%? You guys deal with the credit card and stuff. We'll deal with getting the customers in that. What I don't love about MQ, and it's one of the reasons I haven't invested in MQ, is I think if we do have any kind of compression in the fees that credit cards can charge, I do think that MQ would probably be one of the first to be hit the hardest because you're compressing where you're already giving away half, right? We try to turn this thing on again since it's been off for a while. There we go. Let's see if that works anyway. So that has been something that's made me a little bit more cautious. But if you take a look, it is at its relative low here. Somebody in the chat here is saying they did also have a lockup expiration, much like Robinhood. So you're at those substantial lows. Okay, what else? Oh wow, look at this. ARK is under 100, folks. Holy moly! Whoa! Yesterday ARK fell to 89. It looks like yesterday was a fun day. I was out getting mosquito bitten. Ouch. It's fun though. The whole point of working is so you could have fun on vacations, right? And fun with family and friends. Okay, so Palantir. Look at this. It looks like Palantir might be having one of its first average green days in a bit. We've had some other green days when we turn off the averages here. But its first average green day. NVIDIA dancing around a little bit. Okay, I do have some, let me go through some news a little bit as well, because I did write down some things that I was reading through that I thought were very interesting. So let's see. Okay. So Bloomberg talked about how small cap stocks have been, are the, excuse me. Woo! Bloomberg talked yesterday evening about how small caps are the most oversold than at any point that they have been in since the spring of 2020. And this has really led me to be interested in potentially creating sort of a bucket for small caps that I could buy. The reason for that is, while I do think that my favorites like Enphase, Etsy, Affirm, Apple, Google, Trade Desk, whatever. Well, I think they've had incredible years, and there have been some recent discounts that we could take advantage of. They're certainly nowhere near sold off like some of the small caps. And one of those examples would be a Corsair. Let me see here. Let's look at market cap. Do I have it? Yeah, I have market caps right here. I can actually share this again. Let me do that. Give me one sec. Share screen. Here we go. Okay. So let's just look here at small cap is generally going to be under like 2 to 3 billion. And then mid's going to be around like that 3 to 5-ish range. I don't remember. Maybe it was under 2, and then large is over 5. But anyway, let's just look at some of the smallest ones that we have here. So if we just look at some of the smaller ones, Redfin has had a nice little sell down. Lemonade's had a nice sell down as well. I mean, honestly, like $44. It's getting really cheap in the insurance space. Invitae, wow. Oh my goodness, look at Shift Technologies. I mean, this is like you're turning into a micro cap here, $353 million. Hippo, is that true? Does Hippo? Wow. Hippo has almost 4 times the market cap of Shift. Oh, that's incredible. Let's look at here. You see, here's Corsair, $2 billion. Now, these prices are I think, from yesterday. Here's another one, Tattooed Chef, right? Tiny caps. So not these guys. Let's get rid of the yellow on these because these are not. I mean, these are large. But yeah, I mean, look at that. JW, that's Nordstrom's. Nano Dimension. I did not know they were over. I guess amazing. Wow, they're $4. Wow, this was such a big momentum play for so long. That's really incredible. Wow. I'm just going to mark them because they're not a terrible company. I never believed that they would be a massive 3D printing at scale producer, but wow. I did not know they're about essentially almost under $1 billion market cap. Okay, so yeah, look at that. It just gives you a quick little highlight on this little spreadsheet. There are other small caps as well. Maybe if you can in the chat mention some small caps that you like. Somebody mentioned Funko. So, that's one that I don't know anything about, but I can also look really quickly. Okay, yeah. So that was one thing I wanted to talk about was the small caps. Funko, FNKO. All right. Funko. Oh, okay. So Funko has got a cap of just under $1 billion. EPS of $1.27. Growth is unclear though for 2022, 2023. So I do think that's a little bit of a risk factor. Not a lot of Wall Street projections here on growth. Ooh, Jiva. Oh, Jiva was another one of the momentum ones. How was Docu? Yeah, how's DocuSign been? Because I really like DocuSign. Let me see here. DocuSign. It's 20. Let's see. DocuSign. Yeah, Docu's not a small cap at all, though. Docu is $28 billion market cap. Sunrun and Rivian. Let's look at Rivian. Let's take a look at this. Hold on a second. Let's go to Rivian. How have they been? Wow, I'm surprised they really held on to that mid 110s figure here. Even yesterday, I mean, they hit a low of 100. I don't imagine for very long. Yesterday looked like it was a very nice day. Very interesting. Very green right now in market. What's not doing well? And then can we find out why? So, volatility. I mean, that's no surprise. Rivian. Okay, what else here? Lucid, Li Auto, Camber, Ethereum, Southwest. Okay. Airbnb, 183. So it's still held on to some nice pricing here at Airbnb. Disney at 151. Wow, they've fallen a little bit. Write down Diz. Certainly a large cap. I did notice that Kathy Wood has been buying Xpeng, which I thought was fascinating because she's always been the purveyor of the winner take most model. And Xpeng has not exactly been doing great in the last few days, which we're not expecting Kathy to sit here and time the market perfectly. But that intrigues me. I don't know. I've been staying away from Chinese stocks. Okay, Matterport 26, Chivo $5.70 though. That was another momentum run. That was it was a wild ride. LRCX, Lam Research. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. If it's pharmaceutical, I stay far away. Lam Research Corp. We'll find out what this is. This is semiconductor. Okay, it's not. Oh, it's a semiconductor processor. Oh, okay. Let me see. Do a quick little financial look here. So this is a company that's got a. Wow, they're a tiny company. $34 EPS. And it's selling for about 20 times 2022. Growth is expected to fall from 21% in 2022 down to about 5% in 23, 24, but then back to 18% in 2025. Anytime you get this sort of lumpy growth figures, I always wonder if they're heavily reliant on like individual contracts. But I'll write that down and I'll look into that. LRCX. Oh, yeah. How's MindMed? That's another interesting one. Let's look at that. Mind Medicine. There it is. Wow, 1.8. Oh, they have sold down nicely as well. Oh, well, yeah, I will write that down. That's good too. MNMD. Nice. Okay. Do another look here. DD725. Gotta be careful with that delisting risk. Although it does look like you'll be able to sell, or should be able to sell for the equivalent of about $8.10 in the Chinese stock exchange, or Hong Kong, I believe. But you're still gonna probably see some form of a discount under 810 here, because even if you could sell it for 810 there, what if you can only sell it for 810 for the first minute? And then a lot of people try to sell over in Hong Kong, and it potentially falls quickly. So I think that's why you're probably going to continue to see it under. My guess would be under 750. I mean, I'd be shocked if it went over 810. It wouldn't surprise me because this market is wild, but it wouldn't shock me. Okay, what else? Enphase 226. Okay, again, I prefer under 200, so it'd be nice to have a little bit more red. But we had lots of red yesterday, Kevin, but you were on vacation. Redfin up 3.7. I really want to watch for a bounce on Redfin. That we're back to 41, are we? Let's see, because here's another small cap that is really oversold. Look at that. And Redfin is not like Zillow. It's a much better company. Yeah, and even Zillow's been coming back recently. So I'm going to write down Redfin. Okay, good. So I got Redfin, Upstart, TDoc, Visa, Corsair, Disney, and then I'll look into some of these other ones I wrote down as just not things that I suggested, but that other folks suggested. Really incredible market. Okay, I do want to also look at some of my other notes from what I was reading yesterday. Just going to throw the SPY up and then look at those notes. Does look like the SPY is continuing to move nicely. Yeah, look at that, folks. Incredible. Okay, let's keep an eye on this for a second here. Okay, so tech seen as defensive with Omicron. One of the things that I liked so much about tech, is that I do think that it'll perform well in a deflationary environment. And I know that sounds crazy to say right now, especially right before what's going to be an insane CPI print on Friday, or is expected to be. But I think Jay Powell's full of crap. China is reducing its bank deposit requirements, so we're getting some more softness out of China. We have the Glaxo vaccine that was 75% effective, which is a plant-based vaccine. And I think that has some recoveries, probably doing better today. CPI, that's Friday. Johnson & Johnson with their mix and match. Supply chains easing in Southeast Asia, better prepared for future waves of COVID. I remember this, read that yesterday as well. These are just some quick notes I was jotting down yesterday. I was trying to understand how the weekend went, which mostly for me was not filled with financial thought. Morgan Stanley. Tapering always compresses valuations, of course. We've already seen a lot of that valuation compression. Global advertising running at higher levels, great for Google and Trade Desk. Even Facebook, although Facebook has been so unloved recently. I see somebody's mention here of ASPN. I'll write these down as something to peek at, but I might not do that right now. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, where's Facebook? Facebook. Meta. Okay, yeah. Facebook has probably been the worst performing FANG out of all of them. They're trading for 22 times earnings, which is down from 28 in September, I wrote down here. The whistleblower news didn't help. But you still have 52 out of 62 analysts recommending Facebook. Resulting initial data from South Africa does not show a resulting surge of hospitalizations due to the Omicron variant. Which is very good. Omicron is something that we're going to want to pay attention to a lot, especially if we're trading. Okay, a lot of mutations, efficacy. I got some note here about more Omicron notes. Oh yeah, and then record crime in Los Angeles. It was a wild set of news to catch up on. So good. All right. Let's see here. Let's do another look here just to see how stocks are performing. And it looks to me like I still don't have a computer. This is very annoying. Let's try to turn it on again for like the 20th time. Stupid thing. Okay. So there we go. Matterport 26 is still substantially lower than where the ridiculousness is that it ran to on actually last week. I think it was 37 early last week. Hut 8 mining coming back. Look at that, Hut 8 mining at $10. Ooh. As crypto recovers, Hut 8 is always a very entertaining trade. So I'm going to write that down as well, the miners. I know they've already recovered a bit here. I'm going to watch that since we do have a lot of respect with Bitcoin and support and resistance lines. Affirm almost back to 120. Trade Desk. It's a good one, folks. That's a good one, in my opinion. Upstart started moving again, back to 7% up. It looks like a lot of things are floating up nicely here. Coinbase, long term, is still a killer. Good company. Lemonade, Enphase. Lemonade. I'm going to write down Lemonade, and just now that it's come down so much, it's always worth looking at it again. But I do have a lot of questions for especially reinsurance with Lemonade. Palantir's still sitting under 20, though it's almost back. I don't see a lot of recoveries high up here. Oh, there's Tesla, 4%. Carnival 1922, about 3% today. PayPal, where's Nvidia? Oh, it's somewhere over here, somewhere in that 3% range. There it is, 310. Huh. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go hunting for some small caps as well. But okay, I'm gonna answer a few questions here. Do I need to come over and bring a computer? I appreciate that. I can't get this thing to start. This is ridiculously annoying. It's gonna be difficult to film videos without a computer. How is it? I go on vacation, I come back, my computer's broken. PRAM? Okay, I'll Google that and try that. Okay, so somebody here says, if you had to choose a call option in Docu or Affirm, which would you choose? Ooh, gosh, I suppose it depends on how long. I mean, they both sold down a chunk from some of their highs. DocuSign, obviously, substantially more. I don't think you can really keep DocuSign down. Affirm around 220, I think, is fair. 220, 230, I think is fair. DocuSign has just been getting beat to crap, though. Mostly, I think, because of, and this is the risk factor that you have. Like, I think you have less risk in Affirm, but probably more return in Docu, potentially. And it's just because software companies are getting crapped on. You know, that's what's happening. Is software is getting pooped on. Yeah. So, and I know Affirm is really a type of software, but it's beyond that. It's much more of it trades much more like a consumer service rather than like a Snowflake, like a company service, right? I live in a foreclosed house. I've been aggressively throwing every paycheck into investments. I watch you every day. Thank you so much. Would you consider making a program on streaming on Twitch? Oh, probably not, given that I don't stream on Twitch. but thank you for the $20. Yeah. Trade Desk, good one. Nvidia is a good one. All right, excellent. Yeah, Apple sucks. All right, kick me while I'm down. Okay, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate y'all, and we'll see y'all on the next one.